Growing up, I always thought that Resident Evil was a pretty silly franchise. And I mean, come on, it is. But when it comes to the story and monsters, I always thought it was very unrealistic. In my teen years, I really enjoyed more grounded and realistic zombie stories, such as the Walking Dead comic books. But as an adult and observing the real world and reading into history, my thoughts have completely changed. Now, I do want to be clear and state that I am not a conspiracy channel. I love reading and looking into conspiracy theories because, regardless on how realistic they are usually a fun story regardless. But the information I will be talking about today will not be focused on the entire aspects of some conspiracies. Rather, it will be focused on the factual parts of those conspiracies. So take your tinfoil hat off and be prepared to be slightly terrified. Note that this video will contain very graphic information that is 100% factual. Let's go back to the root of the story of Resident Evil. Oswald Spencer created the Umbrella Corporation to disguise his real goal of becoming immortal and controlling the world. Many scientists become corrupt monsters themselves, notably Albert Wesker and William Birkin. It sounds very supernatural and unrealistic, but what would you do if I told you that the United States spent a lot of money and time on trying to weaponize and use psychics to astral project or predict the future? Project Stargate was a secret program that opened in the 1980s in the hopes of using remote viewers to locate hostages or track criminals. What about Umbrella kidnapping children and using them for research, such as the Wesker Project and Lisa Trevor? Well, in the mid 1940s to early 1950s, at the Walter E. Fernley State School in Massachusetts, experiments took place that were sponsored by the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission and the Quaker Oats Corporation. Children were fed oatmeal containing radioactive calcium and other radioisotopes, sexually abused, beaten, given shock therapy, and they were experimented on with smallpox diseases and LSD. I won't go too much into this because it is pretty disturbing, and I certainly won't be able to do this story justice. I recommend researching this subject yourself if you want to know more, but be warned, it is not for the faint of heart. Speaking of William Birkin, as we know, he was an umbrella scientist who betrayed the company with the intent of selling his lifelong work, the G virus, to the highest bidder. He was murdered by the Umbrella Corporation to not only cover up the true intentions of the company, but to also keep the research for themselves and to eliminate any type of competition. The story I am about to share is technically an unconfirmed fact and more so of a conspiracy, but the logic and reason point to it being 100% true. Frank Olson was a bacteriologist and biological warfare scientist. He was head on Operation Harness, where animals were experimented on. He eventually knew about MK Ultra and was secretly given LSD by his colleague, who was also the head of the MK Ultra program. In short, he knew too much and began having a moral crisis due to the unethical practices. 9 days later, he allegedly jumped from his hotel bedroom, deemed as a suicide. The family was even given a formal apology by former President Gerald Ford and head of the CIA, William Colby. They were also compensated with $750,000. In the late 1990s, his family had his body dug up for a second autopsy. It was revealed here that he had head and chest trauma that was not caused by the impact of the jump. As bizarre as it sounds, there was a legitimate CIA manual on assassinating people, and the manual states that, quote, "The most efficient accident in simple assassination is a fall of 75 feet or more onto a hard surface." Unfortunately, the judge had to dismiss the case due to the settlement the family received years ago. But the judge did say that even though he had to dismiss the case, he firmly believed that their father was killed. To cap off the video, let's address the elephant in the room when it comes to how realistic Resident Evil is. We have grotesque and disgusting monsters chasing us around everywhere due to the Umbrella Corporation attempting to create bioweapons to sell to the US government. Now, do we have hunters running around outside? Of course not. At least I hope not. But bioweapons are still a very, very real thing. To quote the History Channel's online article called Bugs of War: How Insects Have Been Weaponized Throughout History, delivering disease via insect vectors has been wickedly effective. During World War II, Japanese biological warfare units dropped plague-infected fleas and chlorine-coated flies on Chinese cities, killing some 440,000 people. The Japanese military also developed plans to spread plague-carrying fleas over San Diego in 1945, but never followed through. There are other instances in the article I highly recommend checking out. Plum Island had a research facility that specifically focused on bioorganic research. Now, there are many conspiracies surrounding that facility, and as I stated earlier, I won't be diving into conspiracy theories. I do want to make it clear that the intention of this video isn't to scare you. It is scary for sure, but it's something that is very interesting when it comes to the real world in the Resident Evil series. Next time you play the games, remember that there are many things in these absurd video games that aren't as fictional as you may think. Do we have an Umbrella Corporation? Well, Big Pharma.
Commitment, honesty, integrity, these are the core values that create the foundation for Umbrella.
Don't be afraid to take what they give you.
It's this foundation that will continue to build a brighter future for...
And any drowsiness that might occur when you start to take the medication will soon wear off in most...
If you want a deeper dive into these things, please let me know. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay safe out there.